All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about different suspension setups, namely what you need for your actual four-wheel drive. Because despite what the ads in the magazines and all that kind of stuff will tell you, suspension isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. It's not a good, better, best, where the more you spend, the better result you get. It all ultimately comes down to what your specific needs are. So today we're going to be breaking this down into essentially an entry level, something a little bit more advanced, and then all the bells and whistles. What do you actually need for your four-wheel drive and what can you get away with? Now, as always, to rope in on the tech front side of things, we've got an actual expert there, so you're not just listening to me on this front. And this time we got Odell from Outback Armour Suspension up in Brisbane. We wrangled him when we were up there getting the GVM upgrades fitted to our Everest and Ranger Tremors ready for season 18. Now, one thing that you will find is that suspension isn't the kind of situation where just throwing money at it is going to get you a better result. If you are after simple four-wheel driving, you want to do a little bit of touring, a little bit of tough tracks, maybe you've got a few accessories like a bull bar, a swag in the back, that kind of thing, but you're not full-on decked out right into it yet, you're just putting your toe in the water, you're really going to be looking at a simple plug-and-play system, something that's very basic. So, you know, a monotube or a twin tube shock, no fancy adjusters or reservoirs or anything like that. You just want suspension to go in there on a budget, normally around $2,500, give or take, something that you can put in and it's gonna work. Here's what Odell had to say on the matter, and he's going to talk a little bit about Outback Armour's suspension. Here's what he's got to say.
Well, first off, we're going to check out how much weight you got in the rear, right? We have a weight rating of trail, Expedition, Expedition HD generally in most vehicles. So your trail's unladen. So if you don't have anything in the back, we're going to go with that coil, okay? And then we're going to talk about your suspension. So you can choose performance, adjustable, or DSVs. For simplicity, you just fit and forget, you're going to put our performance in it with the unladen coil front and rear. Okay, so you've got no weight on there, no bull bar, no winch, nothing in the rear, so just our unladen coil. And that's going to serve you pretty well. It's going to give you that lift and it's going to give you a comfortable ride. More control when you're going off-road, and it's just going to work for you. If you wanted to get a little bit more complicated and wanted to go, you know, off-road a fair bit, you want to go with our DSVs, okay? We're talking a little bit of weight as well, so maybe you want to go Expedition coil now. And that could be a front bull bar, maybe something in the rear, a little bit more weight. And we pair it with our DSVs. Now, our DSVs, we don't say they're indestructible, but they're pretty good. They've got cooling grooves. They're developed for terrains where vehicles don't survive. And these things, like our performance of fit and forget, you just chuck them in, but the harder they work, the better they go.
Okay, so there you have it. You don't actually need a super complicated system unless you're going to be doing things a little bit more advanced. But what if you are doing things a little bit more advanced? What if you're driving different terrain? You know, you're on the beach one weekend, you're on rocks another, maybe you're fully loaded and then you're unladen. What if you're doing serious outback touring? Well, that's when you're going to need to step things up a little bit in terms of complexity, not necessarily price. You are really going to want to be looking at that adjustable suspension. It's going to make your four-wheel drive more versatile. So instead of having, you know, a limited scope of where it performs, you're able to actually move that towards what you're actually doing with your four-wheel drive. So again, I'll throw back over to Odell at Outback Armour. He's going to be able to tell you a little bit more about the specific adjustable suspension setups that they actually produce over there.
And if you want total control over your ride, fine-tunability, this is what I run. I run adjustable shocks, Outback Armour, adjustable shocks with 20 plus stages of adjustment that just allow you to tune your vehicle to how you want to drive it. As you start getting more serious with your off-roading, people start to look at different components for their vehicles. For instance, you got upper control arms. Any vehicle benefits from an upper control arm once it's been lifted. Just helps with the caster and camber and helps with those wheel alignments, keep it truer, and assists with uneven tyre wear. One thing we do here at Outback Armour is progressive rate bump stops. Instead of your normal bump stop, which is just a hard piece of plastic or rubber, instead of just banging down on that, these progressive rate bump stops actually allow that force to come in and give. So it's for those unexpected whoops that we all get when we're off-roading. There's a few different things you can consider. Sway bar, diff drop kits, panhard rods, but you're best to talk to a professional. We've got 200 dealers around Australia and they'll get you fitted right.
That is going to be bang on the absolute perfect suspension system for 99.9999% of four-wheel drivers. Towing, touring, you know, hardcore weekends, all that kind of thing. That is going to be bang on for you. Unless it's not. And that's where things get a little bit complicated, because the overwhelming majority of four-wheel drives you see on the road, if they're loaded up, so I'm talking if they've got a bit of bar work, definitely a canopy, storage drawers, roof racks, caravan on the back, the overwhelming majority of those are going to be illegally overweight in one way or another, whether that's axle loads, whether that's GVMs, whether it's the gross combined mass. I've even seen press images from manufacturers, just a ute and a trailer, and it's actually illegally over its gross combined mass. So if you are overweight, things start getting a little bit more complicated. And that's not something that I can really give you an answer for in a YouTube video. That's something that realistically, you're gonna have to go to a weighbridge, put all the food in the fridge, put all the stuff in there like you're gonna actually go touring. So swags and chairs and water in the tanks and all that kind of stuff. Head to a weighbridge, figure it out. If you are overweight, it's not the end of the world, because that's when GVM upgrades start coming into play. So while needing a GVM upgrade might be complicated, getting a GVM upgrade is actually a pretty simple affair. A lot of manufacturers these days make it pretty much a plug and play system. It's no more complicated than the initial setup. There's just a few more different things. So the springs might be different, the shocks might be slightly different. They might have to put in some side markers or little bits and pieces like that to make it suit the higher legalities. But for you as the user, they're actually pretty straightforward, even though the needs make it a little bit more complex. If that doesn't make complete sense, I'll let Odell explain it a little bit more. He's a bit more across this thing. So Odell, over to you.
So when you're getting really heavy, you might need the GVM upgrade. We offer them in a number of different vehicles. For instance, the Everest is going to be a 3550 and a 3750. We've re-rated the axle loads, and we can do them post and pre-rego. So we're pairing our Expedition HD coils with heavy setups, like canopies, drawers, the whole shebang, rooftop tents, everything. And to offer some versatility, we're running the airbags. That just means when people aren't heavy, that they're still gonna have the comfort and the nice ride that they're used to. So in the Tremor, we're one of the few that offer a GVM upgrade for the Tremor. So in this one specifically, we've gone with the 3550 GVM upgrade. We've coupled it with the airbags, and we put the trail coil in the rear, which means when he's not having heavy stuff, it's still gonna be really comfortable to drive. At the front, we've got the Expedition HD coils. Again, Expedition HD is our rating, our weight rating. So it means, heavier. We've got the upper control arms, which helps with wheel alignment. And there's a few other accessories like Cat 6 indicators and a really, really cool Outback Armour airbag inflation bracket that just gives a little touch.
Like most things that you're going to do with your four-wheel drive, this is one of those situations where it's ultimately how long is a piece of string. It really comes down to how much you want to complicate things, but mainly what you actually do with your four-wheel drive. If it's a Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 to the job site, and then you go and drive tough tracks on the weekends, you're going to have very different needs to the person who does that and then goes towing and touring and spends a month on the road. And that person's going to have very different needs again to the person doing the big lap with a caravan and a canopy and all of that kind of stuff. And that's why it's so hard just to say if you spend more, you'll get a better product, because you won't. It's like putting racing brakes on a car you drive every day. It's sure, technically they're better, but if they don't suit what you actually do with it, then they're a downgrade no matter how shiny they are. And that's why I think ultimately most people, when they're shopping for suspension for their four-wheel drive, should actually go and speak to someone, call someone like Odell, explain to them what you do, what your budget is, and what you're looking for. Like most things in four-wheel drive land, people make it significantly more complicated than it needs to be. It's not that hard. It's a lot simpler actually than figuring out this thing has a little clip. That would have been lovely to know last time. Anyway, tell us what you want to know about in the comments below, because we do have quite a few different sections of these vehicles that we're going to be doing, and we're going to be grabbing more experts aside to do a deep dive. So if there is another topic that you'd like to hear from an expert, let us know in the comments below, and we'll try and get to that and figure this clip out.